So today we will start our lecture, Animal Fertilization. If you guys remember, just to recall a little bit, in our previous class we talked about sperm, we talked about ovum, we talked about the structure of sperm, and we also discussed and talked about the ovum structure, and based on its structure we also discussed its role. Today we are going to talk about fertilization, and as I'm sure you people know what fertilization is. Sinmai, can you please?
Yeah, so it's basically the fusion of gametes.
The fusion of gametes, Asia.
Yes.
Can you tell me about fertilization? Just recall a little bit.
Well, it's like basically the fusion of egg and sperm cells, and it can occur both outside and inside the body.
Okay, thank you. Look, fertilization is the fusion of gametes, or when the sperm and ova they combine together, they produce zygote, and this whole process is what we call fertilization process. Now, the combination or the fusion of sperm and ova, as we have different types of organisms living on the surface of Earth. We have plants, we have animals, and I'm not going to talk about the asexual reproduction, I'm just going to talk about the sexual reproduction over here. So based on the different types of organisms living on the surface of Earth, we have two types of fertilization. One is what we call external fertilization, specifically in animals, and another one is what we call internal fertilization. So we have two types: external fertilization and internal fertilization. Now, the difference between these two types of fertilization we will discuss in the coming slides. But just to give you an overview, external fertilization is that type in which the sperm and ova they combine together but outside the parent body. The sperm and the ova they fuse together, the fertilization process happens, but it happens outside the parent body. Internal fertilization is the one in which the sperm and ova they combine together, but this whole fusion it happens inside the parent body. Now, both of these fertilizations they have their own advantages, they have their own disadvantages, and the way it happens, it is having its own consequences. Like, for example, the first fertilization type that we are going to talk about in today's lecture is external fertilization. Now, external fertilization, as I told you, that this type of fertilization, in this one, like sperm and ova, they will combine together outside the body. The whole process till the production or till the development of the baby, this whole process it will happen outside. And based on the way this whole process happens, because if it's happening outside the body, it means it requires a medium. So if we think about the medium, so the most probable and the most efficient medium for the sperm and ova to combine together is water. And as a result, like if you look at these all things, it means that the external fertilization it's mostly happen in the aquatic life, in the aquatic organisms. Like, for example, corals, some types of fishes, they perform this whole external fertilization process. Now, this fertilization process, as it is susceptible to the environment. If as the sperm and the ova, both it happens outside, it released into the environment, so there are some problems over there. There might be some factors which can influence the external fertilization process. One of those factors is the predators. There are a lot of fishes, there are a lot of aquatic organisms who can eat other organism eggs and other organism sperms in the aquatic life. So if these organisms they release, the aquatic organisms, if they release their sperm and ova, the probability is more that it will be eaten by the predators. So it can affect the fertilization process. the chances of the fertilization process. Another one is the pH, because we don't know in which type of water this whole process is happening. If the pH become more acidic, if the pH become more basic, both are not good for the fertilization process. Every process, every biological process which happens, it requires a specific temperature, it requires a specific pH for it to happen. And in the aquatic life, in the aquatic water, or the water in the seas and all these, there is most there are more chances that the pH is not going to be consistent. It can change based on the chemicals and everything which goes into the water. So pH changes can also influence the whole process, but in order to counteract these environmental influences, what happens is that these organisms, these aquatic organisms, they release huge amount of gametes. Millions of gametes, sperm and ova, they are being released into the environment outside. Why? Because the environmental influences are there, and the fertilization process is susceptible to the environmental influences. So there is a chance that the fertilization can be affected. In order to counteract that, the aquatic organisms, they release a huge amount of gametes, sperm and ova, so that it can have so that it can compensate the loss of sperms and ova. Because whenever, even in humans, even in all organisms, when the sperms are released, there is more chances that most of the sperms will die. So in order to compensate for that, the organisms release more. Like for example, if you go apart from this topic a little bit, and I talk about humans, I think in my previous lecture I told you 2.5 million, right? That was roughly not correct. According to some new studies, they said that almost 300 millions. 250 to 300 millions, but I never was 2.5, you can say millions, but it's more than that. 250 to 300 million sperms are being released in one ejaculation. Why these much sperms are being released? Because there is more chances that when they go into the parent body, the female parent, the female body, there's more chances that the environment, the pH changes over there, it can make the sperm die. As a result, there will be loss. So in order to compensate for that loss, either it's aquatic organism or either it's humans or other organisms. All of these, they release a huge amount of gametes or sperm. And the process of the releasing gametes in water by the aquatic organisms, this process of gamete release is what we call spawning. When the gametes are being released into the environment, in the water, by these aquatic organisms, we call that process spawning. So now we have a short video over here just to show you how some aquatic organisms, they release their sperms and their ovum into the water. One of the examples that I give over here is the corals. Do you people know corals?
Yes.
Enfield, do you know corals?
Yeah.
What are corals?
Like, hard to tell.
Hard to tell.
Yeah.
How do you know?
Living rock, I guess.
Living rocks. Two very controversial things. How about you, Omsen?
Is it a type of animal?
It's a type of animal which lives in the water, not a type of rock. Rock is a non-living organism. No, it's non-living thing, not an organism. Sorry. Okay. So let's watch the video of the corals. In this video, the corals which are in which both male and female are present in the same. Sperm and ova are released from the same. It's also present, and some of the corals, they have male and female separate. So over here in this video, I will just show you how the spawning process happens. Watch the video of the corals spawning, in which the corals, they release both sperm and ovum into the outside environment. Now the next is the internal fertilization. Internal fertilization it's a process, it's a type of fertilization in which the sperm and the ovum, they are released into the parent body. What the sperm and the ovum, they are released inside the parent body. Now, internal fertilization, it is like more advantageous in the animals, and there are different reasons. But the most important one is that internal fertilization in or animals in which this process happens, the baby or the gametes or the whole zygote or the embryo is being protected. The process, it happens inside the parent body, so there is no exposure of the gametes, no exposure of the embryo, and no exposure of the development of baby to the outside environment, which can be harmed by the predators or which can be affected by the environmental changes or the pH, the temperature and all these things. So because it happens inside the parent body, in internal fertilization, normally in these organisms we have a male and we have a female. The male, it releases sperm, the female releases ovum inside, and then by the process of copulation, which is the most appropriate term in biology to be used for the couples, either it's like in any type of animal, when the male and female, they combine together and the male releases sperm inside the female body, that whole process is what we call copulation. And then the fertilization process starts. There are different stages. Zygote formation will happen, embryo will be formed, organogenesis will happen, and then the whole body of the baby will be developed, which will take, if we talk about humans, it will take 9 months. If we talk about other organisms, it varies. Some is having 3 months, some is having 4 months, some is having more than 1 year, some is having like more than 2 years, it depends. So this is like overall the internal fertilization process, and this whole process, it happens inside the female body. Inside the female body, we have the 6 organs which we call the ovaries, and these ovaries, they release the ovum, and the ovum will go into the fallopian tube. When the copulation process happens, the cervix will open, and as a result the sperm, it will go and it will travel towards the fallopian tube, where the egg has been released and the egg is present over there. And this egg will be over there till the menstruation happens. Where if the egg is not fertilized, then by the menstrual cycle, when the bleeding starts, the whole uterine wall, it will start shedding, the endometrium wall, it will shed along with all the things, and then the egg will also be released. But if the sperms travel, the fertilization process happens, then inside the uterus, it will become like, it will develop more, and then there are different stages: zygote formation, embryo formation, organ formation, placenta formation, and then the development of the baby inside. So this whole process, it happens inside the female body, and this is why, if you guys remember, I told you one of the drawbacks of the sexual reproduction, that one sex is being affected a lot. That is the mother, or we refer to as the female body. It is affected a lot because it goes through a lot of different changes over it. Now, before I go into explain the whole process of the internal fertilization, first I will show you a video, and after that video we will go towards the explanation of how the sperm, it travels, what are the different changes which happens in the sperm structure, and then how it reaches the ovum, and then what are the changes which happens in the ovum after the fertilization happens. So please watch the video, and then I will explain the rest of the process. Okay guys, so in this video this video you saw a different process, different types of process which happened over there, which we are going to discuss in these slides, the coming. And the whole point of showing this video before explaining the process was so that there is an image in your mind that okay, what happened, how it's now, what happened you saw. Now how it happens, now we're going to discuss it. If you guys remember, I showed you the structure of the sperm and the structure of the ovum in my previous class, and I'm going to show it to you again over here in order to give you a little bit you can say, to recall, to help you in recalling a little bit. I told you that the sperm structure is designed in a way that it helps in swimming or in movement. And if you look at the structure of the sperm, it's completely different than the ovum, and it's very small compared to the ovum. Imagine like hundreds of sperm surrounding the ovum during the fertilization process which you just saw. So overall, the sperm is having like three different parts. We have like the head, the midpiece, and the tail. Now the head is further divided into three types: acrosome, nucleus, and centriole. The last part that you saw, it was the job of the centrioles to help in the cell division. And the first part, when the sperm touch or come in contact with the ovum, you saw that the head released something, and that was the acrosome which released the enzymes to digest the membrane, which we call solida zona pellucida, the jellicoe. After that we have the nucleus, which contains the chromosome, the centriole, which will help in the cell division. Now only this part that you see, the head part, this will go inside the ovum. The rest of the body will not go. The rest of the body, which is midpiece and contains mitochondria, it provides energy for the movement of the sperm. And then we have the tail or the flagellum, which contains axoneme protein, and it helps in the movement. Now coming towards the ovum is having two layers. Outside we call it corona radiata and zona pellucida. Now do you remember corona radiata? What I told you before in my previous class. Corona radiata. Who knows? Yes? Corona radiata are the follicular cells, thank you, which are present outside on the surface, and it provides nourishment. How about zona pellucida, the jellicoe? Protection. And how about the cortical granules which are present inside? Yes, Aisha. It contains enzymes, and those enzymes will only be released when the sperm enter the ovum, when the fertilization process happens. Now if you guys understand this, then we will go towards the next slide, which is the human fertilization process. And the human fertilization process, it is having three different processes. It complete in three stages. We call it capacitation. Capacitation is the first stage. The second is the acrosome reaction. And the third one is the cortical reaction. There are three processes, three stages in which the whole human fertilization happens. The first one is the capacitation. Just to give you a little bit idea, capacitation is the changes which happens in the sperm. When the sperms are released and the sperm enters the vagina, there will be some changes that happen over there. And those changes will improve the sperm motility. It will improve the sperm to swim faster. The second is the acrosome reaction. Acrosome reaction is the second stage, and that stage is when the sperm lands on the ovum. When the sperm lands on the egg and it come in contact with the egg, over there a reaction will happen which will make the sperm to go inside the ovum. And the third one is the cortical reaction. Cortical reaction is that stage which will happen after the fertilization process to prevent polyspermy. Do you people know polyspermy? Polyspermy. Never heard about it?
Many sperms in one egg.
Many sperm.
Many sperms.
Many sperms in one egg.
Exactly. When many polyspermy is that when many sperms they want to fertilize the egg. Because there are hundreds of sperms, it will be present on the surface of the ovum, right? But not all can fertilize the egg because the fertilization already happened. So in order to prevent polyspermy, the zona pellucida or the jelly coat, it will become very hard, which I will show you in the coming slides. So the first one is the capacitation. Capacitation, I told you that these are the biochemical changes which will happen in the sperm. Now, normally when the sperms they are ejaculated, they have a cholesterol coat surrounding it, and that is for protection. So when the sperm are ejaculated and it goes into the vagina, it goes inside, so there are some uterine chemicals the female body release, and it will dissolve this whole cholesterol coat. So when it dissolves the whole cholesterol coat, the sperm, it will it will become more motile. Because the coat has been released, it has been degraded, the sperm is now more free to move faster. Like imagine when you people wear a lot of clothes, right? Can you people run faster? Or can do things quicker? No. But that's why at least they don't wear anything, mostly they wear a short and a very light shirt, right? So that they can move fast and move freely. Now, after the capacitation happens, which will make the sperm hyperactive, which will improve the motility of the sperm, and then after this capacitation, the sperm will start its journey towards the egg, towards the ovum. Now, as you guys saw, that there are many you can say obstacles in the way of sperm. The moment it goes into the vagina and from there to the fallopian tubes, it's a long journey. So a lot of sperm it will lose. We will lose it. It will die. It will be trapped. It will be degraded. So once many sperms out of millions, a few dozens or hundreds of sperms, it will make it to the ovum, and once it lands on the ovum, as I showed you in the previous slides, that the ovum is having different layers of cells. That we have the corona radiata and then we have the zona pellucida. So the sperm it will cross through the corona radiata and it will reach the zona pellucida. When it reaches the zona pellucida, which is the jelly coat, the acrosome it will come in contact with the membrane, the jelly coat. The moment it comes in contact, the acrosome it will release the enzymes, and those enzymes it will degrade the jelly coat. And when it degrades, it will make the way for the sperm to go inside and towards the inner membrane of the egg or the ovum. And over there, as the acrosome already degraded, it made the way, the sperm, it will release the nucleus into the ovum, and this whole process is what we call acrosome reaction. The attachment of the sperm to the ovum, then the release of the enzymes from the acrosome, and then the degradation of the jelly coat, and then entrance of the sperm into, not the whole sperm, the head of the sperm, which is the nucleus, into the female body, the ovum. And then the last one is the cortical reaction. Now cortical reaction is once the sperm make it to the ovum, once sperm goes inside, now the fertilization process already happened, because just one sperm is needed. And the sperm which comes first, it will land and it will go inside. Now after that happens, in order to prevent polyspermy, I told you that the ovum is having cortical granules inside. Right? These granules, they have enzymes. And these granules, they will release those enzymes, and the enzymes will go towards the jelly cord, and it will change the surface. It will make changes in the jelly cord, the zona pellucida. And as a result, the zona pellucida, it will become very hard. Why? So that no other sperm can come and bind to the jelly cord. So after the fertilization process, it's not possible that another sperm can come and it can fertilize the egg. And that is why, if you guys remember, I told you in the previous class, the whole concept of twins. That it's not that two sperms go inside one egg. I explained, like, the identical twins and the abnormal twins that we have. So I explained to you, and this is how it happens, because the jelly cord, which helps in the entry of the sperm, it is completely blocked. So no sperm can go inside, and this is what we call the cortical reaction. If you guys have any question, please. Anybody? This is the end of the class for today, and I will upload the worksheet for today's class. We still have some time left, so I will upload the worksheet. Please do the worksheet in your classroom. If you have any question, please ask. And if you don't have any question, then thank you so much.